Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I am, of course, Nick McDaniel. And as always, I am joined by Bud Myron.
In the middle of our third take, my dogs start barking. Kevin Sullivan is here.
Well, I don't hear him, so that's good. So for now, man, well, every week we come and join you guys, and we try to do that thought-provoking conversation, as we like to say, kind of just get some discussion going. And a lot of people ask, like, how do they interact with the show? It's pretty simple, especially if you're watching the Facebook video, wouldn't you think, Myron?
It's
comment like right down there.
Shiny dome. tappedoutpod@gmail.com. There is a name under each one of our beautiful pictures that you can find us on Twitter. You can look us up on Facebook under T.O. Nick McDaniel and T.O. Myron Fancher. Your quick access to all of our tapped out needs. And find our Patreon too.
Yeah, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. That's a really good way to get in there. And we're going to have a new way to support the show here later with a new sponsor this week.
New sponsor.
Yeah, it's going to be cool to introduce that later in the show. But first and foremost, man, topics we're going to knock out this week, a little Money in the Bank talk, a little Becky Lynch and Asuka. That was a big topic on Raw. AEW Dark and TNT. I've got a question about the relationship, and I'm just curious as to a little something about that. Then, of course, with all the releases, I'm going to take a positive spin about who actually I think can benefit from all these releases.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit different.
Join us.
And then, before we get into the George Indy Talk at the end, the sports documentaries, dude, are just crushing it. Yeah. Whether it be WWE Network, whether they're airing them on Fox Sports 1, ESPN's got the Jordan one, man. We're going to dive in a little bit of that.
Dark Side of the Ring is always terrific. I had a chance to interview Eddie Mansfield from the John Stossel Slap Heard Around the World episode, and I think people will enjoy that. That was on our Patreon a week earlier before anybody could get it released. It's out now on the regular podcast, so go have a listen to that. Let us know what you think. But all I want to know now is, when did Benny Hill start booking the WWE?
Good question, man. You brought that up, and it was just kind of funny when you mentioned it, because I was kind of like, yeah, you're kind of right, because I was a big Benny Hill fan myself as a kid. And what we're talking about, obviously, is the Money in the Bank matches themselves from the Money in the Bank pay-per-view on Sunday. I know they're getting a lot of mixed reviews, and then, whatever. I, for one, will stand on the record and say I was entertained.
I was entertained. It was almost as entertaining as that ladder match at WrestleMania. Oh, I don't remember anything about that match. If we hadn't had the discussion beforehand, I wouldn't even remember there was a ladder match on WrestleMania.
Right, because we were discussing this, and that was actually what came up, is I said, if they just had done another empty arena Money in the Bank match, it was so similar to what they were, the triple threat for the SmackDown Championships at WrestleMania, too soon. And what did everybody complain about? It was just, it was flat. There was no ooh and ah moments because there's nobody there to go ooh and ah.
It's a gimmick match. It's supposed to get those big high moments. It's high spots. High spots are only high. They're not spots unless they're in front of somebody. We were stuck with a pay-per-view named after an event, which I'll never get over the fact the event shouldn't be the pay-per-view. The gimmick match should be on other pay-per-views. So I still don't like that. But the thing was, they had to do it because the name of the pay-per-view was Money in the Bank. And so they made the best of it, and they gave us some goofy stuff, and it was funny. You got Vince McMahon in his office with his giant dinosaur head.
In our current environment, when we, if you want to hear our take on wrestling with no fans, go back to last week's show at the end, and there's a whole topic discussion about that. But in the environment we are with no fans in the arenas, you've got to try some different stuff. And it was a total out of left field turn of doing this match to do it in the headquarters.
Yep.
Obviously, post produced and shots in it, was it as good as the Boneyard match? And, here's the thing. I might, on some levels, put it right there with the Firefly Funhouse. But it wasn't a Boneyard match, but they're not all going to be. If you don't take the risk, there's no reward.
They're not all serious. Not all of wrestling is serious. Dana Brooke was brilliant in her role. Showed some real acting chops. I enjoyed that. I saw different sides of wrestlers. I saw they put weights on top of AJ Styles, and he couldn't get. Why is it? That's weird. That whole thing was presented oddly, and I saw signs of wrestlers I'd never seen before, and I don't regret turning it on. I don't remember much about the rest of the pay-per-view, um, but I can definitely tell you I enjoyed that. So
The funny thing is that I don't like, and a lot of people are dumping on the fact that Otis won the men's match. Asuka winning, think about it. Nobody had any problems. It was just executed in a manner that a lot of people felt flat.
yes, once they got to the roof, things pissed out for me, but I
Absolutely.
still enjoyed it.
I 100% agree with you. I don't actually like poo-poo the idea that Otis winning.
No,
You could have some fun with that. I mean, you give AJ a legit thing to complain about
yes, and
because
he's good.
and he's good at that, so he'll will. Like I said, I'm agree with you. I think they kind of petered out when they hit the top of the building, but I think that was with the tone that they went with, and I think that caused it. But like you said, the stuff that was post produced, I like even the Bray Wyatt Braun Strowman match.
Mm.
I mean, what I don't understand is how some people can talk about how they love Firefly Funhouse, they love the stuff they're doing with the Fiend, but then they complain about it's because you got to try some different stuff. I won't lie to you. During that Bray Wyatt Braun Strowman match, when Huskus like pops up and starts cheering,
Mm-hmm.
I literally laughed out loud, not like figuratively, like literally just laughed. And was like, oh, okay, here we go. We're going to get a lot of this stuff around the ring. And we did. We got all of the the Funhouse characters popping up around the ring. And then for as far as my opinion goes, I felt like the story they played out in that match was better than the story arc they gave over the weeks heading into the pay-per-view.
I had fun with it. I had fun with the whole show. I mean, like I said, a lot of it wasn't as memorable as I thought it would be. I mean, how much you going to get out of a Tamina match, for Christ's sake? But I I I'm glad I watched it. And I can't say that about every pay-per-view I've watched in the last couple of years. There's been a lot of pay-per-views where I've been like, God, this is just dog shit, and it lasts 4 hours.
That's going to be my next topic. I was going to ask you how much better was it? Because this pay per view was under 2.5 hours. It was like 2 hours and 24 minutes off the top of my head. I'm guessing. I think that's what it was.
I don't get the business model, and I know they want to make people subscribe. But when we paid $60 a month for pay-per-views, I wanted a damn long pay-per-view. I would have been upset had a pay-per-view lasted 2.5 hours if I had paid $60 for it. But now I'm saturated in a world of wrestling where wrestling is on. Even in quarantine, I can watch wrestling 24/7, 365 here at my house on my phone, tablet, computer, television, smart TV. I'm paying $10 a month. I got all that other content. I got a 2.5 hour entertaining pay-per-view. There's nothing to complain about there. I like that.
Yeah, I being on the network and like I said, there's other things which we'll discuss obviously later in the documentaries, right? That
Yep.
are on there that they justify the value to me,
Mm-hmm.
not just the pay per views. I mean, it helped. Don't get me wrong. That was part of how I justified it in my head.
Yeah.
But I mean, for 2.5 hours, I'm good. And they slap you. Of course, when you put the pre-show on there for another hour, then you're at 3.5. I'll still take that any day of the week. Over,
Yep.
I honestly, and the rumor was that that came down from Vince that in an empty arena you can't hold people for 4+
Nope.
hours,
Mm-mm.
and he's right. So, guys, for everybody saying he's out of touch, okay, here's the first thing we've heard in a long time. We're all like, no, he's dead on right. If it came from Vince, kudos to him for cutting that pay per view so short. Because literally, it was what 9. It wasn't even 9:30, and it was over. And I'm sitting there going like, what the hell? Like this thing's over. And I
I
was
can
happy.
I can go to bed at a reasonable time because I have to work the next day.
Maybe that's the approach because you can cook kids because now it's not not that they're going anywhere on Monday, but but that's a whole different argument, right? And I think because you're talking about all of the other content, you get Raw the next night, you get SmackDown on Friday,
Mhm.
you get NXT on Wednesday. That absolutely, it's 2.5 hours that was a sweet spot for me. I was
Yep.
more than happy.
And I think they got the moment on the show the next night that they did not get after the WrestleMania show.
Oh,
The Raw after WrestleMania typically is a big deal. This year it just was flat, but the Raw after Money in the Bank, wow, great opening.
I'll say something I don't say often. And one of the things that I really found myself was I watched Raw Monday live when it came on,
Uh-huh.
and I did it for all the right reasons.
Yep.
I don't want to come off like a mushy old man, but we had obviously read that she had a major announcement, that Becky Lynch had a major announcement she was going to make. We had heard rumors that maybe she was pregnant or whatever, and that stuff was going to happen. Spoiler alert, I guess if you haven't watched Raw yet, she's pregnant.
I think everybody that's a wrestling fan knows that by now.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was in People Magazine, Sports. It's been everywhere.
People Magazine.
Yeah.
That's exposure.
Mm-hmm. But what I was saying is I didn't watch Raw because I felt like I had to because of the podcast. Because to be blunt with you folks, I haven't watched Raw live in God knows how long. Especially since they've been performing in front of the empty arenas. It's just I just can't do it.
I appreciate they're doing it for us.
Oh yeah.
But it's not interesting.
I didn't do it to crap on it, which a lot of fans do. They want to get on Twitter and watch it and crap on it as they go. But I genuinely was interested in seeing an emotional moment in pro wrestling that wasn't manufactured, that was like legitimate.
Yes.
Because to me, wrestling is getting to the emotion and, kind of invoking that emotion. And I was like, I want to see this and see what happens. And they did. I mean, the announcement I thought was done very, very well.
I liked it. I thought for a minute, because I got a Becky Lynch Funko I'm about to put on the shelf over here. This is going to tie into our sponsor, by the way. But I became a shitty wrestling fan for a minute. And I was like, well, my favorite wrestler's going away. My favorite women's wrestler's going away. But then I was like, she's a human being that deserves to have a life outside of this shit. I'm a human being. She's a human being. I was happy. Before the time the segment was over, I was happy for her. I was delighted for her. I felt even probably a stronger bond to her. Even she may never wrestle another match.
Mm-hmm.
And I think her husband is the drizzling shits. Or not husband, fiance is the drizzling shits. But she's happy. Legitimate happiness on her face.
Anybody who tries to, and this is me as a human being, not as a pro wrestling fan. Anybody that shits on the fact that Becky Lynch is walking away to be a mom, you literally are boiling down to the lowest common denominator of a human.
Yeah.
If, and this is lots of ifs, if she genuinely wanted to be, to have kids and wanted to be a mom and start a family, like there's nothing better than that. And for her to walk away from wrestling is nothing to fulfill that if that was a dream of hers. Now, what genuinely the emotion that was there that really touched home was you could see like she had done exactly what she had set out in this business to do. She'd become, one of the top women stars and, let's be blunt, probably one of the top stars they have, period.
Yep. Highest drawing. Merchandise sales out the ass. The only new non-clearance WWE t-shirt I've bought in a long time was the man t-shirt. Okay. I got the Funko. She was drawing more than just about any other woman besides maybe Rousey on salary. Her salary had gone through the roof. She had 2 belts. She main evented WrestleMania. What else can you achieve?
Right. And it's the story, the drama, which again, going to lead to some of the documentary conversation later. That she, for her to say, think about this. In 2013, she's like, she walked into the performance center, no friends, no family there, and literally now is walking out of that building. She's been to the top of the mountain. She's engaged to be married to the man she loves, and she's going to have a baby and have her own family. Dude, that's a cool freaking moment. I mean,
we're sounding like a damn Lifetime movie. Okay. I it's true, and we do feel this. I just don't like my feelings exposed so rawly in front of all our.
Okay, so we'll turn to the wrestling fan.
Great job. I'm so happy to put on Asuka. She has been the personality of the coronavirus shutdown in the empty arenas. They put it on the right person. She responded appropriately. Good job, WBE. Good job with that.
What I love that they did is just putting the belt on her.
Yes.
There is no tournament. Like we went behind the scenes and we We had deemed that they didn't know that they played this angle like the wrestlers didn't even know the winner of the Money in the Bank match was going to be the champion. She's the champion, slapped it on her, and we're going to move on. The fans can't complain because we put it on the
When they
IWC
wanted it,
Darling. Yep, everybody wanted her to be the champion.
The Intercontinental belt was up in the air. They're having to do a tournament for it now. The women's belt, Raw belt, was technically up in the air. They did a very good job of transferring it. And it was like, that reminded me of the old days watching territory wrestling, where it's like, we've spoken to the management of Southeastern Championship Wrestling and we've decided that it was cool. I felt good about it.
You're waiting for Jack Tunney to make the announcement that she was going to be deemed the new champion.
Wanted it a tournament in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just cool that they did it.
Yes.
Moved on. Just next, we're not even going to give you a chance to complain about it. She's the champ. We're moving on. And we joked about it. Like, the only thing I probably would have done is if everybody liked her. But here's the thing: people were already starting to like her, so you can't really make her a heel. I'd have left her heel. I'd had her punch Becky in the face. Becky takes a knee, but she can't fight back. She's afraid to struggle with her because she doesn't want to risk. Because a punch, okay, I know what I just said. She should have punched a pregnant woman in the face. It wouldn't have hurt the baby for a punch. Yeah. First of all, we're talking a working punch. And Becky just takes the knee, but she realizes she can't fight back because she's pregnant. And then she has to go away.
You love heel moments.
I do love heel moments. And my eye look is Asuka trashes, just thrashes through all of the things for a year. She stays champion. Nobody can stop me. Nobody stop me. And then Becky's music hits. If she decides to come back, by the way, then her music hits. And, God, this killed us when we said this off air. If there are wrestling fans in the building when she comes back,
hard to admit,
then the reaction would be crazy.
Fantasy booking.
Yeah, I thought that would be cool. But guess what, folks? At the same time, I'm also I can sit there and say like, hey, I'd have probably done it this way. But at the same time, I like the way they did it as well. Yeah. And I'm just glad WWE. Honestly, it sounds crazy. Here's the wrestling fan in me. I'm glad they basically gave the fans the middle finger and said, here, this is what we're doing. Next, move on.
Yeah.
You're not even going to get to complain about it. We're just moving on.
Yep.
So, speaking of something you can't complain about, man, let's jump in this week. Let the world know the new sponsor that we've got. Yes. We're going to jump straight into that, man, and let you know about Loot Crate. That's right, guys, Loot Crate. And now here's the funny thing is we are both members to this.
Yes.
We love all the cool stuff that you get every month. This month, guys, they're focusing on Wonder Woman 84. Going to have some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff, Gremlin stuff in the box, so much more. You get a whole bunch of stuff. Of course, it's $24.99 a month. That plus your shipping charges. Basically, you just get all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, just
where I got addicted to Funkos at. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
they gave me my first Funko, and from then on, I was just like, give me all the Funkos. I love that stuff. I love the T-shirts. I love the gimmicks. When I finish decorating my office down here, I'm going to have a shelf of shit I got from Loot Crate that I have loved. It's stuff I've picked up other places, but a lot of it came from Loot Crate because they give you the neatest little merchandise.
Yeah, and we all know, like, the wrestling world's they're just filled with people who are into, movies, TV shows, comic books, video games, and all that kind of stuff. So definitely Loot Crates is the place for you. Sign up for them, guys. We're going to actually put our link up. Don't go straight to lootcrate.com. We're going to put our link up how you would go through to help us out, help support the show. It'll be on our Twitter and our Facebook, and hopefully you'll support us, by going through them and helping us out as well. So now, man, let's jump into, speaking of helping each other out, we were sitting here discussing, and I was discussing with a friend of the show, and we were discussing a topic that really I hadn't thought about.
Nope, forgot all about it.
And then this person was like, hey, whatever happened to this, and why isn't this? And I'm like, I'm going to steal this, and we're going to talk about this because I want to ask fans about it as well. So comment under, in the Facebook, you can comment right below us, at Tapped Out Pod on social media, tappedoutpod@gmail.com, and share all your thoughts on any of the topics from this week's show, of course. But what I wanted to talk about was recently, I mean, we're not talking that far in the past. We had heard that, the AEW had signed this new TV deal. With TNT. TNT was interested in a second show. There was going to be more stuff to it.
Like, how many years did they re-sign? Like 3 more years or something crazy?
Yeah.
So, I was like, oh yeah, more wrestling. maybe they could use a fat guy to talk about wrestling, or two, give us jobs. We'll help out.
Yeah, I mean, and there's I basically I called AEW Dark. I call it their their WCW Saturday Night Show.
Yeah.
It's basically what it is, and it's no offense to any of the lots of Georgia indie talent on there.
Oh, thank God, it's
Um,
beautiful.
putting over, basically being used as enhancement talents, putting over the guys at the top for All Elite Wrestling, and of course, it's a great way to build a guy that's new, bringing him in. And the wrestling's been really good.
Yep.
Across the board. And like I said, we always talk about all the names that we see that we know on there. But the question that I had to ask was, so if All Elite Wrestling has a show, AEW Dark, okay, they essentially have a second show.
Yes.
That's basically being done anyway.
Yes.
The question is, if TNT wants a second show and they love AEW, why are they not just adding Dark as the second show to fill the void that NBA on TNT is just not there? They should just be using that.
Just put it on television. You get ratings. Remember Star Search? Remember America's Got Talent? All those shows where people come on and compete and then they get a job or something. How about this? How about you do it like a competition show where the person who wins out over several weeks gets a contract to wrestle? The most popular person voted on by fans. No brainer. People have been trying to do this with wrestling for a long time, and you've got the perfect opportunity right now. TNT, jump on this. I want to charge royalties.
Why is TNT missing the boat here of filling the content void that they have with the NBA not being there? If anything they've shown, now we're obviously not talking like a 9-match card like they had last night on Dark, but not last night's, but the week before it was 2 matches. So you spread that stuff out. It's basically going to help build up some talent over time. It introduces newer guys coming into the promotion, builds them up, gives them some enhancement matches. But it's also I don't know if you guys have realized, they started the Road to Double or Nothing video packages. It was it was very well done. I mean, the guy that puts those video packages together,
good guy,
and he does a really good job. You could fill in the void with more promos and whatever, and they get the second show. I guess I don't understand what TNT's problem is that they haven't signed this when they claim they wanted a second show.
We're not talking about generating a lot of money that it would cost to do this. The match is already done.
Right.
Step up some commercials, intros and outs, promos, get a nice announce table, and
Taz and Excalibur are already doing commentary on it. Nothing's done any different. Literally, they would have to be basically post-produced into a show. You could air it any freaking night of the week that they would want it or need it. I just, like I said, my brain just can't wrap them out. Like, what is the problem? Why are they not signing?
They don't sign content deals with YouTube, do they?
Well, no. But that's my thing. It's on their YouTube channel. And my argument would be simple. I have a sneaking suspicion that AEW probably would get a better money situation out of it than worrying about but we wouldn't have our content for YouTube.
YouTube monetization is shit. Okay?
It doesn't matter. Even what I'm saying is it wouldn't matter. Just leave it on your YouTube channel like it is, where it's just match. But you can put in on the TV show. You can for example, this week there were 9 matches. You could have just picked 3 or 4 of your best matches, put in some promo stuff in between, and then there's your episode.
Make an hour show.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be more than an hour.
No.
It just needs to be. I love a good, quick, entertaining wrestling show. And that could be it. And it's produced. And people we know are on it. And everybody would benefit. And I can't see it. I don't understand why. So
yeah, no, that's my whole thing is, like I said, I'm right there with you. I don't understand why, when they claim they wanted a second show, they essentially have a second show. And I know they're like, oh, it's not going to be Dark. It's going to be something else. It doesn't matter.
Coronavirus.
For what?
Coronavirus stopped it. I'd say probably why.
That's the easy answer for everything, but that doesn't stop anything. They're still filming it. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, there's nothing, unless they're happier airing. I don't even know what the hell airs on TNT anymore.
I don't watch television. Let me put the air quotes out there. I still watch television programming. I just don't watch it like let me get the TV guide and the remote and watch it like that and wait for it to come on. If I want to see something, I DVR it or go back and watch it on demand. I don't watch a lot of stuff live, especially in an era where there's no sports. I caught myself the other night. The first thing I had actually went downstairs to watch on television was the MMA matches, because you had posted something about a good match and you told me that it was free until 10 o'clock. So I went down, and then I ordered pizza because nobody was feeling like cooking. And the pizza gets here before the last match is over. And that's the first time I've had to say, I just want to sit down here and finish this because I'm not, I record everything. I mean, it's that way now. People don't watch television in the traditional way. So what you got?
Yeah. I mean, and that's, so I don't know, just they've got all that content that's just voided there that people would be willing to watch. And I mean, if they're happy with what they're getting on Wednesday nights, then you would think a show that's already being done anyway, just get a produced product of it. I mean, because it's a week later, they record it, it airs like the next week. Dylan's got plenty of time to edit that thing together and make an hour out of it. And you're not even talking about an hour. You're talking 47 minutes, 42 minutes, whatever it is before the commercials.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hell, even if they said, give me 90 minutes. Okay, you're already giving them an hour. By the time they put the commercials in, you're almost ready.
When we went to the show, they had a match before they started television.
Yep.
3 matches after, or 4 was it 3 matches after?
I think it was 3, yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. That's good.
So I don't know, who knows, but I think they both could benefit from it. Obviously, All Elite could benefit getting more airtime, especially a different night. They might find out if they put it on Tuesday night on TNT. They might find out TNT that, guess what? Maybe Dynamite should be on Tuesdays because we're doing better numbers on Tuesday than we are on Wednesday. Not fighting.
If you're running against NXT, you're diluting your audience. People, you got people switching back and forth. They're not watching your commercials. You got people that are going to watch one program over another. If you got wrestling on different nights, you don't have to deal with that. You just watch one show.
I don't believe it would happen. That's just me personally. But how cool would it be if they moved Dynamite to Tuesday or whatever, and then the next thing you know, they're getting over 1 million. And then all of a sudden on Wednesday nights, NXT's getting over 1 million.
I think so, definitely. I think it would help both programs immensely.
So, or vice versa for that matter. I mean, whatever.
I said they would never draw 1 million, and they drew 1 million like the first episode or two, and it's dropped off. So, shake it up. Yeah. Maybe that's in the plans.
TNT, wake up. Sign these guys. Yeah, change it up. So, like I said, it's we keep saying about who would benefit. So that would lead us into our next topic. Who benefits from the WWE releases, right? Because it was funny when I told you this. You were like, nobody. I'm like, I beg to differ.
You had some good points.
Because when you talk about who benefits from these releases, we're talking the Rusevs and the Heath Slaters and on and on and on, all the guys that were released. The Revolt, the Revival, whatever the hell they're calling themselves these days.
Alarm.
Yeah, and then even Gallows, Anderson, all I say, like you the guys you've seen the list. So who would benefit from this? Well, in my opinion, obviously the first one's easy, not the wrestlers. So that one's easy. Believe it or not, I don't think it's AEW either. Heath Slater said it best. He was just recently in an interview, and he was talking about his non-compete coming to an end soon, obviously, when it's going to end. But then he was like, dude, it's a buyer's market right now for wrestlers. I mean, there's so many people out there now that, we discussed last week that All Elite Wrestling can't sign them all.
Nope.
Now, I think they're probably going to get, realistically, the pick of the litter. Would you agree?
Yeah, they've got the best money on hand. They're going to be able to pay more than anybody else comparatively. They offer a guaranteed deal. They give people a little bit better, than some of the other companies, I would assume. But here's the thing. This is a pyramid. And as people move down from WWE, they go to this, and then they move down to Impact and like NWA. Somebody's got to go out to make the spot for them. I hope this doesn't wash, but they can't go on the indie circuit. There's no indie shows.
Right. That's what we were discussing. Cause we're talking back in the old days, like 6, 7 months ago, if this happens, then the next thing you know, Zack Ryder's out on the indies getting booked, and
Because I was like, man, that's not a big deal. They'll be showing up on shows we go to. We'll have Zack Ryder working Southern Honor or etc. because he needs work. Well, right now there's not any Southern Honor.
right. So, in the hindsight, my answer to my question of who benefits, well, first of all, Ring of Honor's not. They're not. I don't think they're running anything. So
they actually Sinclair is going to be doing more Ring of Honor content for their networks.
Right.
But what are they going to do with that? I hope they can fill out some time, and I hope they can get some more people watching the program. But I honestly couldn't tell you where I could find Ring of Honor if my life depended on it.
It's WATL like midnight on Saturdays in Atlanta. I think that's what it is, something like that. But to answer my question, I think the benefactors of these releases, I think you're right. I think it's NWA, I think it's Ring of Honor, and I think it's Impact.
Yeah.
I think they're likely to get names of wrestlers that 6 months ago, 8 months ago, whatever, that they wouldn't have gotten. Now, I know there's been this path of detour through NWA to get somewhere else or something because a lot of guys just want to say they worked there or whatever. But I think in the long term, I just say that, look, like you said, there's no indies. They got to work somewhere. So and Heath Slater's point being it's a buyer's market. Yeah, because guess what? If Impact's the best deal you can get, you're going to take the Impact deal. You'll figure it out later.
Pick up Zack Ryder. Pick up guys that the WWE didn't use. You could put a fresh face on them, give them a new gimmick, and they can perform. They're already well trained. They know how to work television. They know how to do this professionally. Nobody gets in trouble anymore compared to the old days. So you got talent ready to rock and roll right there, and they're willing to work for you at whatever price you're able to pay them. So if guys stay in the business, they're going to go to one of those smaller promotions.
And I think it could help balance out some of the rosters across the board. That's kind of what I was going to say is because, I think it helps wrestling in general if Impact's competitive and they've got names that you're familiar with. Ring of Honor, same thing. And we obviously know they have a lot of, they have names that we know. But even if it was a deeper roster and, the NWA. Now, all that being said, are there any major needle movers in the group that were let go? Look, we've heard the rumor that Gallows and Anderson filed for a trademark through Michael Dockett, who, of course, is, the AEW guy. So they're probably going to end up there, whatever. Rusev, whatever. But, how much of a boost would it be for Impact if Rusev was there?
Could hurt anything.
It can't hurt.
How about Lana stayed? I just realized that for sure on Raw when I watched Raw because she was on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, she stayed.
Yeah, she's still there, man. She's not going anywhere.
That's weird.
Hey, somebody's got to work and somebody needs a paycheck, man.
Yep.
So
you got to eat.
You got to eat, man. The bills still got to be paid, so don't worry.
Yep.
Hey, if she's willing to stay and work, and that's what people don't grasp. But it's not always personal, man. Sometimes it's just strictly a business decision.
Yeah.
And if you can look at it that way, then so be it. So.
And if the Fox buys WWE, you're going to see a lot more business decisions.
Yeah.
It's not going to be, who's favorite and who wants whose buddies what.
Well, because it's all about making money, and that's true, And,
yep.
Speaking of making money, man, again, we want to real quick, don't forget, if you want to help support the show, check out our sponsor this week, Loot Crate. This month, they're going to be focusing on Wonder Woman 84. You can get your box for $24.99 a month plus shipping. They got a little bit of Gremlins, a little bit of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff thrown in there as well, amongst a bunch of junk. But like I said, dude, we've been, Loot Crate guys for a long, long time, getting Funko Pops, T-shirts, and all that good stuff. So make sure you check out on our Twitter and on our Facebook the link there. Don't use lootcrate.com. Make sure that you use our link to help support the show. Give us a little kickback here for getting you signed up with Loot Crate.
And post pictures of the stuff you bought through our link.
Yeah, let us know, man. We hope you enjoy it because I think anybody, if you're anything of a TV, comic book, movies, just video game, pop culture stuff, you'll love Loot Crate. I got a whole shelf over here to my left that you can't see that's filled with stuff from Loot Crate. So check it out. It's a crate of loot. Absolutely. Well, man, let's jump in before we get into the Indy talk. There was one other thing that we kind of touched on a couple times here throughout the show, and it's about the documentaries, man. The sports
And
documentaries in general that they've been coming
awesome.
out.
You watch the Michael Jordan one.
Yeah, the Last Dance,
Yeah.
Michael Jordan stuff has been impeccable. I mean, it's awesome. If you're a sports fan in general, even if you're not a basketball fan, you should watch this because it's an amazing. My wife has loved it. My daughter,
Wow.
who hates basketball, has loved it. But it's so
Wow.
well done. So,
I love a good sports documentary, and I have enjoyed. Dark Side of the Ring to me is so awesome. I just watched the Road Warriors last night. Um, like I said, I've got that interview with Eddie Mansfield off the one from a couple weeks ago. I love Dark Side of the Ring, and that's another show that would draw in people that aren't just wrestling fans. But the one everybody's talking about right now on the network, the WWE Network's the Undertaker documentary. That was well done.
yeah, the last ride with the Undertaker, man, very well done. And that's kind of what's kind of spurred the conversation a little bit when we were talking. As I'm like, man, this is the content that like if by the way, if Fox were to get a hold of WWE, this is the kind of stuff that needs to be on Fox Sports 1, or this is the kind of stuff that you build the channel on. Like if they were to do a WWE channel on a lower tier cable package, this is the kind of stuff you're talking about. It's not wrestling. It's not necessarily Raw and SmackDown and pay-per-views. It's this kind of content, the stuff, the WWE 24, the documentaries, all that stuff. This is where
I don't think anybody does a better job than WWE of doing sports documentaries. They could. That studio and that production is such an asset for a buy. You know, that might be the intangible we didn't think of when they're talking about the price for WWE, but they do well produced, well done, I'm going to say acted, but just a lot of fun to watch, good looking documentaries, and they're about a sport we love. And there's a lot of guys our age who would watch that Undertaker documentary if it was on network television.
oh yeah,
They might even know the network exists. But I guarantee if they were flipping through and saw Taker, or if they saw Hogan, or one of those guys, click, lock in, I'm going to watch this. Like the Andre the Giant one, like the Ric Flair one on ESPN. Instant. Everybody loved that.
It's like you said, man. Just they invoke the emotion, and we always talk about that's what wrestling is. That's the biggest thing about wrestling, and especially when you take somebody that you've been emotionally invested in for decades, and you let people in a little bit to finally see that person. Man, it's phenomenal. Like I said, that's been the strength of the Jordan one. It's been obviously the first one of the the last ride. Same thing, kind of the same vibe.
Something that touches you somewhere.
Oh yeah,
that makes you want to be a part of it and watch it and be able to talk to your friends about it.
absolutely agree with you. And let us know, man. What are your favorite all these sports documentaries? Your thoughts on the Last Dance, obviously with Jordan, the Last Ride, all of that kind of stuff. What's your favorite? The WWE 24, any of those documentaries? What's your favorite? Comment down below in the Facebook, and of course at Tapped Out Pod on social media, or tappedoutpod@gmail.com is the email. We always like to interact and get you guys what your thoughts and stuff as well. But man, let's jump into the Indy Talk. Everybody keeps asking weekend. How do you have Georgia Indy Talk? Man, they haven't been a wrestling show. Well, unfortunately, that's kind of some of the news this week.
There's a lot of talk.
Well, the news this week is there is no wrestling through the rest of May. They basically shut down the nightclubs, the bars, and the entertainment venues and stuff. And I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but don't get your hopes up for June either. We're halfway through May, and it doesn't seem like so. Who knows?
Realistically, I don't think we will see hold on, let me phrase this correctly, a well-attended show before 4th of July. That's where I see it. I don't think, even if you can run in June, I don't think anybody's going to go in June. Coronavirus is a very visual thing. Oh, you can't see a virus, but you see people walking around in masks. You see shields up in stores. So it's always at the front of people's minds. Anytime you go out, you see precautions being taken. People might be more hesitant to go out. In my business, I've seen a drop off of people going out and doing stuff that they didn't have to do. You know, there's in any business, there's a business you're going to do that has to be done, and then there's other stuff you make your money off of. That lucrative, I'm not going to call it commercial. Well, anyway, it's just stuff that people don't have to live. Okay, the cosmetic type stuff, that's dropped off because people aren't going out and buying it right now, and I don't think people are going to go to wrestling right away. It's going to take a little bit of this. You got to get those. You got to get that stigma. You got to get that fear to like out of people's minds. So they'll forget. I mean, the minute this shit goes away, they'll forget about it. But you got to get it like where they're not thinking about it before you're going to start seeing people turn out for shows.
Well, let's, obviously that's the indoor stuff. Then there's the talk about the outdoor, venues and stuff like that. So, for example, Southern Violence Wrestling's running Athens, June 6th, I believe. They're doing an outdoor show at the Southern Brewing Company. Here's my question. And this is, I always say, I'm not trying to crap on, and I'm not crapping on Southern Violence and Southern Violence Wrestling. My question though is, I get that the outdoor shows are acceptable, but should they be? Because here's my question of why. Will people that attend these shows, we're talking wrestling fans here, and I'm a wrestling fan, so I'm speaking potentially of myself as well. Will people actually follow the guidelines that are laid down for their protection? And second of all, will security, and I am being shot, so it's a lot of guys. Okay, we've been to a lot of wrestling shows, and we have seen what constitutes security at indie wrestling shows. Now, I'm not saying all. I'm not blanket statement. I'm just saying security.
Most of them I could beat in a foot race. I ain't gonna brag, but
so that's who you're going to put your faith in. That is going to police the guy.
It's Athens. They may have the Clark County Police there.
Could very well be.
I don't know.
Wouldn't hold my breath, but could be.
My whole thing is liability. In a litigious age where lawyers are on every billboard trying to, if you've been bumped by a car, we can sue you and get you $1 million. Because the bulletin boards now, they just say head injury, $3 million.
Right.
They don't even put they put picture of the lawyer, head injury, $3 million. Not that I won that in a settlement, not that but somebody got a damn head injury and they just gave him $3 million. It's okay. The next ones are, I took a pill, my dick fell off. Dick falls off, $8 million. The next one to be, did you get coronavirus from going to the store?
I assure you, if somebody somehow, somewhat, and I get it. Look, Larry Goodman from Georgia Wrestling History posted a great article about shows outdoors and the reduced risk it is. Well, yeah, of course.
It is reduced.
It's reduced risk if it's outside. Well, yeah. So I mean, I get that. But if I piss on the dirt, it doesn't mean that my floor in my house is going to get dirty, right?
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, I'm outside. But that doesn't matter in the sense of the word of you are still putting the faith, or you're putting your faith, easy for me to say, that everyone else is going to do what they're supposed to do. And here's the problem. We're on Facebook. We see the comments and, in wrestlers and wrestling promotions and stuff's feed. And they're all just like, hell yeah, we want to see wrestling. We want to be back. And I'm like, look, I want to be back. You posted something similar.
I posted last night. I miss my friends. I miss seeing my buddies. I miss shooting a shit, talking to the booker, hanging out. I miss Gary Lamb's open it up everything Gary Lamb ass right now. I miss him. I miss the guys. I miss the referees. I mean, the fans. I talk to a lot of people. I eat a lot of hot dogs, drink a lot of Cokes. It's part of my life. It's been part of my life for 4 years now. And it's gone. And I miss it. I want to go back. But when am I going to go back? When would I feel comfortable going back? If they were to run a show June 1st of one of my favorite promotions, would I go? I don't know the answer to that yet. I don't know.
I could tell you that. The answer is probably no.
Yeah.
Because it goes back to the same thing. is it's one thing to put your faith in yourself to do the right thing. It's in putting your faith in other people to do the right thing. There was, remember, I know it's progressed, but there was a basketball player coughing and rubbing his hands on, making a joke of it. There's going to be a guy at this arena, that arena. Like, I get the outside piece. It reduces the risk, but it doesn't get rid of all of the risk. It's going to take one person to test positive that was at your show. And if he can prove that's the only place he went and he got coronavirus from your show, there will be a lawyer calling, at some point. So keep that in mind. So on top of taking all that away, I always joke and tell people, look, I think, as crazy as this sounds, and I could probably be cursing myself at this point, I was like, you know what? I think I would probably be healthy enough. I'd probably fight it off. I do. I just really do. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right. I think even with my reduced immune system, due to I use Humira for a health condition, which reduces my immune system, I could probably still fight it off too. I fought off pneumonia. Okay. I fought off all kind of horrible shit. I've been working in healthcare for over half my life. I've been exposed to germs. I've had almost anything you can imagine, and I fought it off. I could probably fight off coronavirus. Do I want to take a chance? No. Do I want to give it to my mother? No. Do I want to infect some old person that I might not even know, but they die from it? Or it's just not worth the chance for me. So I'm being careful.
Translate that to wrestling, and you got these promotions running, especially a promotion that's saying like, hey, if your promotion isn't running yet, come on out and see check us out. We're running. You're trying to draw as big a crowd as you are. The question we came back to is, for what? Like, how much are you really making that you're taking that legal risk and you're taking the chance in general? Like, I get it. So we joked about it. I said, hey, if Southern Honor ran the show next week and they had been promoting it, would they draw over 100 people? I actually think they would. But why? I mean, like, would it be worth it if they drew, because I don't think they're not going to draw 500 again.
No. Mm-mm.
So if you're not in your wheelhouse and you're not drawing, why? Otherwise, you're back to
Athens for that show. I love Athens. I have not been to one of their shows. I was thinking about going, but I'm like, am I going to risk it?
People are going to gravitate to that ring. Like, you can't space everybody out. Here's the big if. I want to take it. This is not a shot. This is the real thing. If they legit draw 200-300 people to their shows, how are you going to spread out that many people around that ring?
6 feet.
6 feet apart. Now, I know they're like groups that came together get to sit together. Okay, well, I hate to tell you this, guys. There's a lot of single dudes coming to your shows. I mean, just if unfortunately,
that's wrestling shows.
That's wrestling shows. Now, there's families, and I get it. But you can only spread out 300 people so far before they get agitated that they're too far from the ring. And what are they going to do? They're going to converge on the ring. They're going to start getting close. They're going to start.
And wrestling's a very visceral experience. You want to be close to it. You want to draw in and feel the action, and then get a couple beers in you, and you want to see it better. And before long, you're rubbing disease all over.
We didn't want to get too because us, we always try to stay out of this.
But
no. I just meant from the sake of we haven't really tried to dive into this whole the meat and potatoes of should people be running, or why. But this is just a realization of this is what it is.
Just because you can do something doesn't mean you ought to.
I have an old saying I say to my kids: you can drive your car with your feet. Doesn't mean you're supposed to.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. And I'm not saying I'm against them running. I'm not saying I'm for. It obviously sounds like I am against them. Yeah. But sometimes on here, I'm just taking the viewpoint.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out that thing about pissing in the yard in your house. Most of your other analogies have made perfect sense, but that one I'm still trying to grasp.
Well, we'll come back. Yeah, that's another one. So what do you guys think? I mean, should people be running? Yes or no? What are your takes? Yeah, would you go to a show if it ran? If your favorite promotion ran, would you go? So comment in the Facebook, right down in the comments below the video. Of course, at Tapped Out Pod is all we're at on social media, and tappedoutpod@gmail.com. But hey, this, we're going to, before we run out of time, because unfortunately Danny Jordan was so busy on AEW Dark and on all this AEW too, we're out of time. She was too busy to get on, so maybe this time it's her fault, not our fault. Nah, it's my fault. It's always my fault.
I love y'all. I miss y'all. I look forward to seeing you all healthy, where we can hug sweaty men and handshake people and do the things wrestling people do. Well, not that I'm just some fat guy that hangs out with wrestling people, but I miss the experience. I miss the car rides with Nick when we go to shows and talk about stuff. I miss seeing you. I miss meeting new people. I haven't handed out a business card in forever. Um, I saw Alan Tucker more than I did my mother for years, and I haven't seen him. I miss you, Alan.
Yeah, no kidding.
But it's going to end sometime in some form. The new normal, just this phrase, the new normal pisses me off, but it is the truth. Some of this is going to hang around. Some of this paradigm will be changed forever. Some wrestlers will not come back. Some wrestling promotions will fail. But at sometime again, we'll wind up running into each other at a show somewhere, and we'll get to talk again and shake hands, tell stories and lies and rumors and all that other kind of stuff that people do when they get around wrestling. We just might ought to wait a little bit longer.
Well, and while you're waiting, listen to us every week. Subscribe to anywhere that we're available, and that's on all your podcast platforms, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartMedia, Spotify, you know, all the places that we are. Make sure you subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating review while you're at it. We always appreciate that. That helps the cause and the algorithms that are Apple Podcasts, of course. But then, of course, you know, we're at YouTube as well. We don't promote it a ton because, you know, we always say it pays squad over there for wrestling. But we are there if you like it. Best place to find your home with us is, of course, at patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Become a Patreon member for as little as $1. That's right, $1 a month. Get the shows early. Some other cool stuff like the interviews that you did with Eddie Mansfield, amongst many, many, many other things. But, of course, if you really want to help out the show,
the secret club,
you always got to tell you, brother, Loot Crate's the sponsor this week. Always support our sponsors. We appreciate it. The link will be up on our Twitter and on our Facebook page. Click on it. Sign up for Loot Crate through our link, not through lootcrate.com. Go through our link, please. It'll always help support the show. We greatly appreciate it.
Where can we find all these links on a daily basis?
They're on our Facebook page, man. They're on our Twitter handle. They're everywhere. At Tapped Out Pod, man. It's pretty simple. It's where we are.
Good way to handle it.
Absolutely.
We love you. I appreciate you listening. Sign up. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com and buy some of our shirts.
Always, always, always.
Black shirts. We got black shirts for wrestling fans.
Absolutely, man. I agree with you.
What else do you need?
You don't need anything. That's the thing. Nothing else. You're good as long as you're set up through us. But, man, that's all I got for today. You got anything else, man?
I ain't got nothing.
Well, what's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.